All right, welcome back. This is a continuation of our cavern or cave walls. This is where we were last time, and this is pretty good if we wanted to have something that was a tunnel. And by a tunnel, I mean we're kind of restricted with the scale of this. Let me go back into my default lighting here. It's kind of what we had. To be able to see everything with the seams and the textures, I go into my flat lighting to check stuff out. So what if we needed to have the cave walls higher and we need to have the walls to expand? So as an example, I have this right here. So I have now ceiling tiles that I can duplicate and continue, and I also have this continuing with a corner. So how can I do that, and how can I add some sand texture to this? So in Maya, or in Photoshop, I have some stuff that I've been working on here, and that's based off of this texture. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide all this so you guys can see how I get this going. I'm going to first work on my ceiling, and my ceiling is going to be something that needs to use this top part that repeats, but it's not going to just repeat in one connection. I need that to repeat all the way, all four corners. And the reason why I need that to be all four corners is because when I move this over to this side, it's now at a 45 or a 90 degree. And that means that this needs to connect from that side and from that side. And yes, if we ever spend time looking at the ceiling of a game level that the characters probably never even look at, you're probably going to notice some repeating textures. So that's up to you on how to paint these to prevent that from happening, but that's something you should be aware of. Also, with this example, I haven't darkened it yet, so I should be aware of that and fix that in this tutorial. So if I continue with this, I'm going to go ahead and take my wall texture and I'm going to duplicate that. So this is the one that we had with our walls and the ground. And now that I have this duplicated, I'm going to merge this group. So now it's a flat image. I'm going to turn off everything else. I have my UVs that I can look at. I don't need those. I need just basically this top part. And with this top part, I need to have really a sampling of about this big. So I'm going to go ahead and sample that. Control C, Control V. I'm going to move that down and rotate it. Control T while holding on Shift, Snap, and move that down. Now I need this to be actually matching up with this. And right now when I rotated it, this edge is on that side. So if these were to connect, it's actually reversed. So what I need to do here is do Edit, Transform, and flip my horizontal. So now these are matching up pixel by pixel what this information is. So that's actually good for me. Now that I have that, I'm going to duplicate that layer and Control T, rotate it, move it over. Okay, so that should snap. So now I have the same thing over on this side, and I'm going to duplicate that one more time. This time I'm just going to hold on Alt and left click drag, Control T, hold down Shift to snap it, and bring it over to here. Same problem, it's not matching up, so I need to hit Enter, Edit, Transform, and flip my vertical. So now that's matching up. Now that I have all of this, what I need to do, I'm going to merge these down. So these three, not yet. Let me add one more thing. So actually, let me do one other thing. I'm going to take this part right here, Control C, Control V. Now I can get that out, and now I can merge all four of these pieces. So when I merge this, merge layers, and now if I go into here, I'm going to duplicate this layer. So duplicate layer, bring that to the top. That's hiding everything else underneath it. You can see that. Okay, so I'm going to put this underneath there. Now I have to kind of blend in these seams. Not a hard thing for me to do. It's actually pretty fast to get that to happen. Actually, let me back up a couple seconds here. Don't merge these down yet. For whatever reason, that went a little too far. Hold on. I want all these back. And okay, so now I have all 4 of these. I don't want to merge these yet because I actually want to clean this up. I do want to bring that one in again though, so duplicate. Put this one underneath. Now I have 4 things I should be looking at. I have the sides and this bottom texture here. The sides of these, we need to put a mask on them. And the mask I want to basically come in and get rid of some of the stuff that's, so if this is the side going down and up here, I need to get rid of this part right here. So I'm going to use my brush tool. I'm going to go with just a standard soft brush. Soft round. And I'm just going to paint this away. So reduce the size of that and just paint this part out. Alright, that's good. And I'm not really seeing the seam of that. I want to do that over here. Good. And we'll do the same thing with all these other ones where I'm going to go around and paint out those edges. So we want to make it so if this repeats over here, that's good, but I don't want that to be causing a seam on the top. So we're going to do that a couple more times. I have it right here, and that's already underneath the other one. So this is actually good. I don't even need to have that. So those 2 fixed the edges of that whole thing. Now I have an issue with the inner part of my texture. And what I'm going to do is just grab all of these 4 pieces, group them, and I'm going to merge them. Now I'm going to just take this, make a mask on that, and I'm going to paint some of the details out. So to do that, B, and I'm going to just paint. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of prevent those hard edges from existing. When you're doing this too, don't go straight down, but try and find natural spots that make sense. Like over here, there's a ledge sort of that's built in. Right here, I kind of have these natural chunks showing up. So there's that. Anywhere you see a hard edge, that's where we want to get rid of them. But follow the flow of the texture. If something's happening naturally in the image that you're using, go with it. It'll help to prevent your texture from having these obvious seams. So that's pretty good. I'm going to say that this is my ceiling texture, and I'm going to save that. So File, Save As, and save on my computer. This is going to be a PNG again. I already have it saved. It's my cave ceiling color. Hit save, hit yes, and okay. And now if we go into Maya, now remember for this project, I don't want us working with the models having to get super detailed with that. Some of you are already starting to get there. I want us to be working with our textures and having the texture define what our geometries are doing. So with this, I know that if I were to create a plane, the plane I believe was 6 by 6 by 6 that I needed. And that is, if I hit the D key, move my pivot, and then snap that over here, that's how much that repeats. That's good. Now I need to move that up to the top, and I need to add my texture to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to add my ceiling. Okay. Now there are a little bit of seams that I can see. I can clean that up. But you can see with this part, it's not looking great because it is a plane. And it's not matching with the curvature of the organic shape of our ceiling that we were doing. So to be able to do that, I'm going to turn off my textures for a second. So turn off textures, go into default shading so we can see this a little bit better. And let's go to wireframe on shaded, yep, there we go. And let's turn on two-sided lighting because it's just impossible to see. There we go. So I know if I'm going to work with this, I need to have a vertice there, a vertice there. To make this even easier, I'm going to do a mesh separate on this. I'm going to grab this one and do this, duplicate it, and I'm going to snap it to this side and rotate it 90 degrees. So 90. Math was never my friend. Okay. So now that I have this, I can see where these issues are going to happen, at least on these two sides. So I can work with this. I'm going to take my multi-cut tool. Yeah, I'm going to hold down the Alt or the Control key, click, 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 and click. And now I can just take some of these spots and hold down the V key and snap. So I'm in vertex mode, snap. And oh snap, you are starting to get the geometries to connect the way they're supposed to, at least up until our next one. So you'll notice if we wanted to be able to duplicate this to go over here, if I duplicate and snap that over here, you're going to notice that all of a sudden there's that seam again. So since we already made that adjustment, we're going to use this one, hold down the V key and snap. And now we know that both of these sides are correct because this is the same height right here as that one was, and now the other side is at that same height. Now that I have this, the other one has to do the same thing. So I'm going to take that, duplicate, hold down V, snap, and then we'll make an adjustment to this one by lowering the geometries down and erasing that one. And now, let's delete these. These were our templates. Duplicate, snap, duplicate, snap. And we shouldn't see any gaps anywhere. And if we do, looks like I was a little bit off on one of these. We just need to go through and test these, and we will easily get ourselves geometries that work for us. So this one needs to have an adjustment there, and now I know these should all work. So duplicate, move that over. And now let's look at what we got with our textures. So shading, flat shaded. And we're going to do hardware texturing. Awesome. This is looking great. So now if I do wireframe on shaded off, I have this. Yuck. How do I get this to go away? This is a kind of scary shape, right? Because we have... It's not really a flat plane. How do we work with this? Well, that's actually not that scary. I'm going to take one of these. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to move it over. And for the sake of being able to see stuff, I'm actually going to go around here. I'm going to take my multi-cut. Just cut straight up. And we will cut straight down. We're going to take all of this and delete it. And this is the part where it's not for the faint of heart. If you are that perfectionist about stretching textures, look away. I hate to tell you this. This is what does happen usually for a game. You will see some texture stretching in these corners. But there's often many, many items that are hidden and pushed around in there to make that work. So not as scary as it could feel to some people. So I have this here that's looking good. My geometries aren't matching up for whatever reason, so I have to make sure I can do that. It is a bit perplexing as to why that is doing this. This is all the same size. Let's see. That's correct. Okay. So how do I fix this? I'm going to make sure that these are snapping. I'm going to again turn on my wireframe on shaded. Snap, 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 and snap, snap. And this one, we need to do the same thing. Okay, now I know my textures aren't matching up yet. And there is a reason for that, and it's because when I move this over, it's actually going over only to halfway. I need to take this whole thing, scale it, and hold on X and snap. And let's just see what the heck this just did for me. Close that. Okay. Now I have stretching, and I know that. That's going to be okay once I deal with the rest of this. So now that I have all this set up, now the next trick is to take this, snap, this, this, and that, and whoop. And we're just going across. Now I know I have some of these spots that aren't going to look exactly where they need to go. I'm going to have some stretching, but I'm going to be able to fix that when I tweak this in my geometries for the UVs. So this piece needs to go there. So we're kind of just moving pieces into an area. We're going to have more vertices than we need. So what we can do is I'm just going to go to Edit Mesh, Merge to Center. And that's still an extra one. So I'm just going to hold the V key, snap that over there. And now I have something like this. Now this may feel like there's too much stuff in our project. That's okay. I'm going to take all this, and I could have built a brand new piece. It would have probably been faster, but I'm just working with the textures here. I'm going to merge. So Edit Mesh, Merge. And now I have this shape. Now the shape is a bit weird. So what I'm going to do is get rid of these. I'm going to hold down Control Delete, and these Control Delete. So I just want this to go straight across. And again, I could have just bridged onto the other side. I'm totally aware of that, but I want to show you guys just the other way that we can sometimes clean up geometry. So now that I have this, I see issues with where they're connecting from. So this vertex or UV right here is down, and this one is kind of up high, and it's stretching. That I can change. So if I move this up, you'll notice that that's right away getting a lot better. And if I were to examine this piece right up here, if I move that to the center point and then move this one up higher, I'm actually going to take this and snap it to the edges so I have a seam, or not a seam, but my edges connecting a little bit better on both sides. If I click off of that, it's not super terrible. It's got some issues, and I think I can tweak some of that even further just by going into my multi-cut now and cutting across. So multi-cut, cut here. So now there's this. I'm going to use multi-cut one more time, and what I want to do with this is cut in this direction, double click here, push it back. Now, to make it a little bit more organic, start messing up them vertices so they feel like they're not just a corner of a room, but it's been, carved out by time, or whatever the heck you want to say this was from this. All right, now let's turn off our wireframe on shaded. Okay. Now, most times in video games, you never put baby in the corner. Footloose joke. But you usually don't put the video game characters right in the middle of a corner for some reason. Fixes, you have rocks and all sorts of textures you can put in there, but that's such a fast way to clean things up. Again, bridging would probably be faster. Let me show you how that can happen. But this is a very effective and fast way to get these things to happen. I'm going to take this, go to Mesh, and I'm going to go to my Combine. And double click, get rid of these corner areas, and let's just tell this to bridge. And if it doesn't want to go, it's sometimes because the angles just are too much for it, so sometimes we just have to dumb this down a little bit. Bridge. Okay, I don't have an equal number of border edges, so that's why. This guy. So, Control Delete. And now. I should have, if I go down to there, that's, should not be that many edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bridge, there we go. And yeah, so much faster to go that way. It took in repeated geometries immediately. Now there's a nice demon face in my wall. So either way, those both will work. To get this part, we can just bridge that as well, or extrude down. And we can easily take this multi-cut, cut this, and push these back again. So that's probably a faster way than cleaning up geometries that we worked with by building it. Again, I'm kind of old school, so the bridge tool is actually newer than when I was starting out. So old habits. I'm actually shocked at how fast that worked for us. Now, this is no longer a valid piece for working modularly. I combined all that, so I still have to break these apart. So this corner piece needs to be a separate asset for me that I can duplicate and rotate around. But that's a pretty nice way to be able to get a corner there. Now, sand, same technique as my roof or my ceiling for there. And last but not least, how do we get, like, let's say that we needed to extend the height of this. Like, maybe we were working on this and we realized, oh, you know what? This needs to be twice as tall. Well, that's something that you should always build into your plans before you even start to construct this. If you need a larger area, it's smart to think about how you can work with your UVs and repeat certain spots. So if I were to look at the UVs on this thing, I would take an area like this and flatten that down. And my UVs that I would use to do a split would be right out along this seam. So that tells me that along this seam, if I repeat from the bottom to the top, I can add another section. And that's what I'll do right now. Let me just snapshot this for you. And apply. I'm going to overwrite my cave UVs. And now in Photoshop, I'm going to turn all of my unlabeled mess, as Scott would probably say. He wouldn't say it to my face, but I know. I'm not organized as much as I probably should be. File, place, where is my place embedded? And I'm going to go to my UVs, so cave UVs, place, enter, and that's the seam I'm going for, that middle section. So I want to build a whole wall texture off of this middle piece. To do that, I need my wall texture. I'm going to go from down to here. Control C, Control V. I'm going to move this one down to the bottom. Turn that one off. And do that again, but the opposite. So if I actually hit, hold down Control and click on that layer, I've selected that area I worked with. I'm actually going to select now, select inverse. And now I have the top and Control, or did I already move the top? My brain is starting to go away. Where are you, brain? Okay, so I've moved one of these pieces. So that's down. And for the other piece I need, where did my... There we are. There's an UVs. So from the other one I need to go from the bottom up. So I'm going to take my, this one again, go from the bottom to here, Control C, Control V, and move this up. Now that may seem really weird. The main thing is that we have this texture that is broken apart at this precise area. Now if we wanted to do this even better, we can do filter other offset, and if we knew the exact pixel spot that we were at and that height, we can do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to adjust that later. I can, however, take both of these and merge them. And I'm going to do a filter other offset on this now. And this is going to be 512. I'll hit OK. And now I know if that seam was wrong. And I was able to select this section right down the middle, which is awesome. So I'm going to edit undo to go back to this. Edit. Redo. Okay, so I've got these in the right spot. I need to again sample a rock texture. So I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to put that underneath the two that I was working on. Right here. And I need to basically be able to have this rock be sampled in this texture. So to do that, again, we're breaking out our mask. And with the mask, I need to basically eradicate everything here except for that top part. So I'm being very cautious about going too far up, but that's looking pretty good. And for the same thing here, I'm going across. Ooh, need to mask it first. I'm going across here. All right, I know that this repeats both that way, so this is good. If I take this whole thing and turn off this and go to File, Save As, I'm going to go into this as a PNG. And this needs to be, I know this was cave wall side color, or cave wall. This is cave wall side color. And this is the reason why I'm calling that is just because it's just the side. It's not the entire cave wall. That's my logic right now. Your art director and your group would tell you that if you were working with a large group of people. As an example here, I'm just going to take this and move that into another layer and turn everything else off. And I guess not. And okay. Let me remove that, turn that off. Whatever. We're going to just select all this and delete everything else for now. Alright. So I've got this piece. That's the one that I have with my UVs that are split down the middle. And if I needed to add more to this, all I'm going to do is take this object and there's a couple different ways I can do this. I'm going to actually double click here. Going across, I'm going to bevel it. Now, hopefully this right here will be able to bevel across that. We'll find out. It did. And this bevel, I have polys on polys. There we go. So this going across here is an issue because it's not following the geometries that I was working on before. So what I can also do, if I were to bevel it, I could do that, but I think this would be faster for us. If I take all this, mesh, extract. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm losing my mind. My kid's having a meltdown in another room, and my wife is dealing with it, so you guys have two different shows going on, if you can hear that. Okay, I'm going to move this up. I'm going to take that now, mesh, combine, and double click, bring out that bridge. Look at that mess. That's okay. That mess can be easily fixed by doing a UV automatic. And right now it's flipped, and I know that. That's okay. I need to create material for it. It can't use that same piece. It needs to be cave wall side, and that's going to be cave wall side color, the one I just made. And with all of that done, I should probably apply it to the model. Right click, assign material to selection. It's having a meltdown for some reason, just like my son. Okay, there we go. Okay, why don't you want to work? K-wall side color. Okay, so now that I have that, okay, I changed the wrong texture. Bear with me here. Cave wall. Okay, I just had to delete my history because this was no longer allowing me to add a texture to it. If that happens, just remember, press that button, and we should be able to add that. That happens from time to time, and it's absolutely infuriating. I understand. Very easy fix. Okay, this is going the wrong direction, and it also doesn't look good. So let's fix that. We're going to go into our model, and I'm going to flip it. So where's my UV editor options here? I'm going to rotate that, close that, and I need to make this so this is like that and like that. Snap and snap. And we're going to move that right into place. So as long as these are in the proper area, I can clean that up. I just want to check this out real quick. Okay. So now that I have this, it's giving me something like that. And it could use a little bit more cleanup. The good news is I could scale this up to even double that height. So I've really got an easy way of adding some real height to the size of this. I'm going to do multi-cut on this and even add some additional geometry on here to break up how this wall is just feeling like a flat surface. There we go, there we go. And now I have a rock wall that is double the size of what I was starting with. And I can duplicate that or close Maya. That's fine. But I could take this, let me hit the D key, and D, and duplicate, and move that over. And you can see that this is twice the height of what we had originally. So that's an easy way to be able to create these models here.